very dear friends of mine, Eric and Corey Aglia, who live in beautiful Sedona, Arizona. It's gorgeous. Had a bit of a rocky time in their marriage a couple of years ago. They still loved each other very much, but they realized that they were both going in very opposite directions. And they decided to do something about it. They studied the same self-help books. At the end of each week, they discuss each chapter, and they apply the lessons to their marriage. Imagine how amazing that looks to their two small children, who get to watch their parents study together and stay together. Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Being married is easy. Just like failing a test is easy if you don't study. You want to be a doctor? Study. You want to be a lawyer? Study. You want to be an engineer? Study. You want to get married? Oh, look at that! No study required to get married. No wonder there's a 50% divorce rate in America. And that's just for first-time marriages. 66% of second marriages fail. And a whopping 75% of third marriages fail. That's insano in the braino. I was married once, and now I'm part of America's vast and grand 50% divorce rate. And since I've been divorced, I've discovered 3 books that would have helped my marriage. Book number 1, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This book is almost 80 years old. There's nobody in the room that's even half that age. And it's classic. This is what I learned from this book. Number 1, I learned how to be nice. I learned how to be nice. I learned how to be friendly. This book taught me how to be supportive of another person's dreams, goals, and aspirations. And all those ingredients were missing from my marriage. And I take full responsibility for not bringing those supportive ingredients to my marriage. That's my bad. My ex-wife Lisa and I were way too much in love to actually be friendly toward each other. We were too jealous to be nice and friendly and supportive. Lisa and I would still be married to this day. I guarantee it, if both of us had read this book and both of us had applied the lessons from this book to our marriage. This book would have saved my marriage. Why? Because couples that study together stay together. Book number 2. Boundaries. Boundaries by 2 PhDs. Smart guys. Dr. Cloud and Dr. Townsend. In this book, the basic concept is, number 1, stop putting up with crappy behavior from people. Number 2, learn to say no. This book will teach you how to say no for all the right reasons. And number 3, this book will teach you how to say no for all the right reasons without feeling guilty about it. That's the most important part, I think. So why did I think I was qualified to be married in the first place? I watched my parents argue. I knew how to slam the kitchen cabinets when I was unhappy. I knew how to raise my voice when I was angry. I knew how to slam the bedroom door when I was upset. I was homeschooled. This book would have saved my marriage. I needed healthy boundaries, and I had no clue what they were. Healthy boundaries between my wife and myself within our marriage, and healthy boundaries between our marriage and the people around us, the environment around us. We needed healthy boundaries within and for without. This book would have saved my marriage. Why? Because people that study together stay together. Book number 3. Strengthsfinder 2.0. Strengthsfinder 2.0 by Tom Rath. It is so important that we include a book about work and fulfilling work in our married life that I have to include it as book number 3. We spend 8, 10, 12, 14 hours a day at work, and it does affect our marriages, our relationships. Let's be honest. If you hate your job, you just end up dragging that garbage back home and dumping it all over your marriage. Ew. Everything that happens at work ends up at home, and everything that happens at home ends up at work. The authors of this book point out that people who are allowed to focus on their strengths are 6 times as likely to be engaged in their job. 6 times as likely to be engaged in their job. That's what every boss is looking for in an employee. And that's what every employee is looking for in a job. Engagement. And that has a direct correlation to a successful marriage. The authors also point out that people who are focused on their strengths on a daily basis are 3 times as likely to report an excellent quality of life in general. An excellent quality of life in general? That's what I wanted for my marriage, for my life. And that's what we all want, is an excellent quality of life in general. When I was married, I had no idea what my strengths were. And all of the jobs that I had reflected that poor fact. Buy the book, take the online test. It's 144 questions. You have 45 minutes. It spits out 5 of your top strengths. Then go back to the book, look inside, and it will give you details for each of those strengths. And it will give you ideas for aligning those strengths with the correct job for you. This book would have saved my marriage. Why? Because couples that study together stay together. Being married is easy. Just like failing a test is easy if you don't study. Doctor, study. Lawyer, study. Engineer, study. Successful marriage, study. And the books I recommend: How to Win Friends and Influence People, Boundaries, and Strengthsfinder 2.0. Eric and Corey Aglia. Sedona, Arizona. Reading the same self-help books, discussing the same chapters, and applying it to their marriage. Imagine how amazing it looks for their 2 young children to watch their parents study together and stay together. Madam President.
Yeah, please feel free to do this. So you get a dose of minutes being a coach.